Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview with Lakeland business owners. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Would you mind introducing yourselves and maybe give the elevator pitch of what the Salt Room is?
Okay. Want to go first?
I'll go first and you give the elevator pitch.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I'm Cherie Miller.
Okay.
And I'm Ashley Zamzow. And this is the Salt Room that we're sitting in. So salt therapy basically is a natural therapy, and it helps alleviate symptoms associated with any type of respiratory, sinus, allergy, topical skin related issue. But it's good for overall wellness. It helps boost your immune system. It's good for relaxation. So just overall wellness. It's a great therapy.
It seems like I've seen some really good reviews where people are just like, oh my God, I was congested forever and I came in here, instant relief. And
right.
So and then my brother, he's here probably every day. I'm sure I'm sure you guys see him a lot.
Yes.
He's always posting on social media. So I was like, okay, I got to check out Salt Room. So when we set up this interview, I was really excited because I'm like, I get to actually meet the owners and sit down and talk about this.
It's definitely, a lot of people still don't know about it. So, we're still in a phase of, wow, I didn't even know this was here, or what is this? I mean, every single day I have somebody coming in saying, what exactly is the Salt Room? They hear about it, they can read about it on the internet, but then they're like, can I see the room? Can I see what it actually is? I mean, every single day we're getting, people coming in from even just stopping because they see our sign from the road and coming in and asking what it's about. So,
yeah. And we hear them say, I can't believe Lakeland has this, right? So a lot of times we hear that. That they're excited.
Wow, this is so nice.
Yeah. It's like Lakeland's got a Salt Room.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Once we got an escape room, I'm like, okay.
Now we have axe throwing.
Yes.
Axe throwing, yeah.
Right?
It is.
How do you market something that is so unique? How do you come about coming with a marketing strategy that maybe no one has had to market before, at least that you know of or heard of? So, what's your approach to marketing a Salt Room?
Well, my vision is really to help people. I wanted to do this because I wanted people to feel better. I wanted people to have an option and an added benefit, because the majority of our people do come in, and our clients come in because they're suffering from something. Mm-hmm. So whether it's an acute, like the cold, something that's just they're dealing with for a couple of weeks, to more chronic things like this is their life, and they're trying to learn how to live with whether it's COPD, asthma, emphysema, chronic allergies, chronic sinusitis. And so I really try to market to people that want other options. Whether it's because the medicine that they're on is not working, they're tired of having to take a bunch of different kinds of medications. But it's hard. It's hard to market something that not everybody knows about. Even in the medical community, a lot of doctors haven't heard of salt therapy. And so for me, it's been kind of a struggle to wrap my head around, okay, how should I post, and how should I get our name out there, but not be too informative to people I don't know what you're talking about, to being too generic where I still don't know what you're talking about. So it's I think I'm getting better at our post about kind of balancing that, but really it's for people that are suffering as our main audience. But then, especially nowadays, I want them to realize you don't have to be sick to come in. It is a good, immune booster. It does help overall wellness. It helps balance out your body. So your body, when you're going out in the world, it helps fight off against, anything that you might come into contact with. So we're in this kind of, I guess, back and forth of, okay, we want to market to this, but we also want you to know that it's not just about, you don't have to have a cold. Because a lot of people, when we first went, oh, well, I don't really have any issues. I'm like, well, you don't have to have issues. This is a 45-minute take a nap and the best sleep you've ever had. It's like that one commercial, that medicine, the NyQuil, it's like best sleep you've ever had with the cold. It's like, this is the best sleep you're going to have, a 45-minute nap you'll have, So I think that might be the biggest thing is we want people to know, but it's hard because you don't want to put too much information where they don't understand, like I said before, and then not put enough information where they're not interested or engaging to want them to come in and try it. So.
That's a really, go ahead.
Yeah, so specifically on marketing, I mean, we've done a lot of social media that Ashley kind of was talking about, how to market directly to people through social. But we've also tried to partner with like-minded businesses. Right. So going to the natural health food stores or the juice box, supporting Yoga Point with some of their events that they've done, areas where you find kind of the people that are looking for alternative options for their health. So we've tried to partner with some local businesses, chiropractors, massage, those kinds of places to start to do referrals or to leave our brochures, that kind of thing. And then also Ashley, she's a certified respiratory therapist, so being able to go and talk to a doctor's office and say, from the qualified medical perspective as well as from a natural perspective, this is an option that you can offer your clients that doesn't interfere with other things that you're doing for them.
Yeah.
So
that's such a smart move, because obviously, that's your target demographic. Those people that care a lot about not, maybe, pills have their place and things, but it's not always. It's not always about putting stuff in your body. Sometimes it's about getting stuff out of your body. I watched one of your videos where it's like, it's getting some of those toxins out, rather than putting more stuff in to fix what's in. I kind of thought that was an interesting perspective. So that's kind of your target demographics. You're partnering with these organizations, because those people do want to hear about this. They may not know about it. Maybe they haven't seen this Adam's social media post, even though I feel like all of Lakeland follows the social media post. But that's such a good way to introduce them, because it's not, you're not pushing it on them. You're saying, look, I just want to make sure you know about this. And those people probably care a lot about it. So that's really great. One of the things, it's you saying this really just hit the nail on the head. It's like you don't want to share too much. I'm really into marketing, and I have my own little videography business, and it's like all day I'm studying this stuff, I'm looking into it, which made me want to start a business. I could talk to people all day about it, but it overwhelms them. So in your situation, obviously if you're going to open a salt room, you've done so much research, you care so much about this to be able to risk it all to open this unique, different thing in a city that may not care about it. And so you're like, I have to push back, I have to kind of reel that in a little bit. So what did make you make that plunge into actually opening this, both of you, taking the plunge to open such a unique business like this? I mean, I know it's your mission, of course, for that you care that much, but the process and challenges with that.
Well, how we kind of came about this, I mean, there are other salt rooms, and that's how I found out about it, because I went to a salt room in Orlando.
Okay. Cool.
I am a respiratory therapist, and so while I was in school, my last clinical round was they gave us an opportunity to do more of an outside-the-box type of clinical day where we could go and choose whatever, and mine was a salt room. So I went and I was like, this is absolutely incredible. I've never heard about this. Why have I never heard about this? And the reason why I went back to school to be a respiratory therapist is because I have a son that was born premature, and he had a lot of respiratory issues that come along with it. And so for the first, couple of years of his life, we were in and out of the hospital, on multiple hospital stays. He was in 2 different ICUs between Lakeland and Tampa. And so I wanted to basically do what the respiratory therapists, I felt like they saved my son's life. Wow. So because of that, because his, lungs were so, premature, and he had a lot of issues with that, he was on a lot of, respiratory medication, whether it was inhalers, steroids, different things like that. So when I'm sitting there, I'm like, why have I never heard of this? And this can help him. This can be something, and whether it's to replace or to add. And at that point, I was just like, there's so many times we could have maybe prevented, or it might not have been that bad if I would have brought him to a place like this. And I was like, okay, that's what I want. Now I went on to, I worked in the hospital for a couple of years, while we were kind of all figuring out,
dreaming about
what
this
to do, and what, when, where, how, how it was going to happen. But I was like, this is so great. So I started taking him there, and obviously my kids come in all the time. But that's, for me, that's how it kind of started. I wanted to help, kids. My son was helped by a respiratory therapist, but I've always been naturally minded and trying to do things. My husband is a chiropractor, and so we already did stuff on the more natural side, and then I met Cherie, and with oils, and we started doing that. So it was kind of this full circle thing. I'm like, we have to bring a salt room to Lakeland. This has to happen. Because I know so many people are looking, especially moms with little kids. And I don't know if you saw the kids room up front.
I did. That was awesome.
But I was like, they want an option. I know that this is going to do well. I know people are wanting to do something and are looking for more natural alternative type of therapy, because they see, all the other side effects that a lot of things can happen for long-term use of medication. And like we said before, it's not to replace it, but if you can come off a couple things, or you don't have to use it as often, then that's that's great. If you feel better coming out, you're breathing better overall, you feel better, then that's the goal.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where this kind of came from. And then our husbands grew up together, and so that's how I met Cherie.
Yep. And we own another business in Lakeland, and
Right.
so then we got to working together on some of the other natural areas, and it was kind of a natural partnership and expansion of that.
Natural partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah, natural, yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. What a story that is. I mean, your son, how's your son doing?
He's great. I mean, no, I was able to kind of wean him off of all his inhalers and between the oils and the salt room. And I mean, a lot of times it's not a long-term, usually with preemies. Thankfully, he was a big baby in size, and so that kind of helped him, but he was also stubborn because he just was vented for a long time. But he hasn't had any issues, major issues, other than, the common cold that kids share their germs. But yeah, he's doing great. He's almost, actually, he'll be 10 next month.
Gosh.
So,
Thank
yeah.
God. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you both are so educated in this field. I mean, you've got your background in this, and you've been into natural, oils, you said.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have a business background too. So y'all bring this, both these expertise together. So what does the business of a salt room look like? I mean, this is such a fun, exciting thing, but also there's like expenses and, staff probably. And so how did the business side of the salt room differ from maybe even the Golf Etc. store or anything like that? Does it differ at all, or is it all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Golf Etc. is mostly retail based, and so we're mostly services based here. So we do a variety of offerings on the service. You can pay to come one time, or you can do memberships. So when we have people sign up for memberships, we have like 3-month contract, 6-month contract, year-long contracts. Then that gives us kind of a better way to forecast what income's coming in those future months. So we always love when we have our members come in. But then, we continue to offer an intro rate also because, as Ashley mentioned, people continue to find us for the first time, right?
Yeah.
So being able to come in for $25 and just see if you like it is kind of a nice option. So we try to keep kind of lots of different price ranges and opportunities open, family memberships for, so the kids can come on repeat if they need to each month. We've been really lucky on staff. We've had a kind of an ongoing college age support. We only need a couple extra people. With 3 rooms, we've been able to run it. Pretty much you can run it by yourself unless you're booked on top of each other, for an hour or 2 at a time, or you have a lot of people coming in for retail around the holidays or something, and then we'll increase a little bit. But we've been really lucky to have some good staff.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. So that reoccurring is, I love that model. Like I work at an IT company, and our whole world is recurring. So that's really, really nice from a budget perspective. Whereas a lot of firms and things, it's like one-offs, and those that's got to be so hard to budget for and like project.
Right.
Yeah, but it kind of offers both, because on the other hand, sometimes you don't want to commit right up front. Like I may not commit to a gym that only offers a membership option, and not I can just go to a class and pay for it, right? So it kind of offers both options for those who just want to pay as they go, or buy 5 because they've got a cold and they know they're going to come 5 times the next couple weeks, or something. And it gives those people that know they're going to want to come consistently for allergies or, just for wellness, but largely for, something in particular that they want to come consistently for.
Gotcha.
And we do offer 3-month memberships too, so you don't have to do the whole entire year. A lot of people, or a lot of clients that come in, are seasonal allergies, so they only deal with certain things. So why would we want to charge them all year long when they're only really needing the therapy for the few months? So that's where that kind of comes into play as well. So we do have a ton of different options, which I think work really well, because no individual their situation is the same that comes in. So so we've been able to snowbirds.
We've got the right length of time for them.
Yeah.
That's a great example of knowing your market. I mean, like in what you do, like there's seasonal allergies. Some people are just going to want to try it to see how it goes, and then even the I saw the 25 like initial. I think it was on your site. It was like 25 initial first visit or whatever.
Right.
Not only, of course, is that a good marketing thing like you're mentioning, but I'm sure you probably started that because how much you care about people getting in here and trying it out because you know it's going to help them.
Yeah. If you try it, then you'll know, right?
Oh,
Right. Yeah, so it's like they don't know really what they're stepping into until they get here, and so I just want people to come. And so I was like, okay, well, is someone going to pay $45 for something they've never even heard about, and they don't know what to expect, and they don't even know if they're going to like it? So it's been a great thing to have to offer people to say, come in, they're more willing to spend that amount of money than a larger amount. And then once they're in here, I know they're hooked. I know that they'll be okay.
Well, and then from there, we've got email addresses and stuff so we can follow up and say, hey, it's been so long since you've been in, why don't you come back? Or, just give little reminders, and they go, oh yeah, I do kind of have the sniffles. Maybe I'll go, maybe now's a good time. You know, so.
That is one of the most undervalued things in small business, I feel like, is a good customer relationship manager. Like, I'll ask people like, well, how do you store your contacts? Like when people, leads or even customers are like, well, I write it down, and I'm like, that's unfortunate. Because what if they were a lead and then they didn't come in, and then you want to talk to them later? You're gonna go through your filing cabinet. So that's smart that you do that. And I'm assuming it's not just people that have registered. How else do you kind of capture those contacts? Are you at events that you ask? Well, I guess no events lately, but how do you get people to sign up to those?
We've done quite a few health fairs, especially at like 65 plus communities. There's a lot of health fairs that happen throughout Polk County. So we got on a list with a major one that kind of puts them on. So we've done quite a few of those. The school board health fair, we've done a few. We're in a wellness center, so we have the OBGYN across the hall, chiropractic next door, massage center next door, and then a primary care. So we have a lot of resources when it comes to that too. But we did, what else did we do with?
We did we're one of the sponsors for Yoga Point triathlon.
Yes.
That they did last year. So it was a 5K. What was the second thing? So there was 3 things.
Oh, meditate or yoga.
Yoga. What was
5K and
was it
maybe the meditation?
Meditation at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5K,
it was fun.
yoga session and meditation.
Oh,
so we kind of split it. I did the 5K. She did yoga. So we were get people. Yes, exactly.
Lakeland is really coming on the map.
Yeah.
Good job, Yoga Point.
Yes.
Like that. Good job, y'all too.
Yeah.
This is when you become a city.
Right.
When you have a triathlons, you made it. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we try to, if there's events like that, show up. I think there's been a couple others, but
That's
we do a lot of like raffle prizes for people.
Fitnitch. Fitnitch usually holds an event. They've done some women's-centered events and some running events in store, and so we've gone and set up with Fitnitch a couple times too to get names and talk to people that maybe don't know about us. A little different community, runners, athletes, just the ability to open your airways and keep those open and maximum capacity running work. So
that's amazing. I love how many unique avenues are coming out for health that haven't really been explored a lot. I mean, like you said, it's been around for hundreds of years or whatever, but like really explored well now.
Right.
Like we did a recent interview with Laekland Cryo and Lakeland Athletic Club, and that was kind of cool because it's like this thing that just like freezes you basically, and you get out and you feel great. Like that's what I'm sure this is like. You sit back for 30 minutes, you come out, and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I just got a massage.
Right.
Yeah.
Or else Adam would be posting about it.
Yeah.
Is he sponsored? Do you guys pay him? No. Okay. I'm so surprised about how much free advertising
we do reward those who refer, though.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
It's good to know. Don't be an affiliate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing that it's a question that it's a little nuanced, but with COVID-19 happening, right? I could see this being a phenomenal thing for people with COVID. But unfortunately, when you have COVID, or I guess fortunately, but when you have COVID, you have to isolate, and you can't come to a place like this, and y'all wouldn't allow someone to so it's like they're not able to take advantage of that?
It's been really tough.
Yeah.
So because we do feel like it's something that would help them, because that is something the salt helps with the respiratory. We're very careful to clean in between. We have UV lights, so the salt is naturally antibacterial, and then we run UV lights in between sessions as well as cleaning. So we're very careful with all of that, but like you said, I mean, you can't take the chance that coming to and from a room, they're exposing people. There's no studies that have been done on the salt with the COVID virus specifically, so there's nothing there that we can, lean back on having the science behind us. And then, frankly, we have a lot of clients that are in that high-risk group because they're coming here for respiratory therapy. So if we start letting the COVID patient clients come in because it can help them, then we're putting our at-risk clients at risk. And so it's really been kind of a hard year to run that line of, it was really our membership clients coming in that kept us afloat when everybody was really fully staying home. So, we have to protect them probably first, and then, we've been following all the guidelines of symptoms, how long you need to be away from people with symptoms and stuff. So it's been tough because, we do feel like it probably would help, but there's a lot of risks associated with letting somebody come in.
And, saying, oh, come here for your COVID symptoms. It's like you get shut down immediately. So we had to, it's been hard trying to navigate this new world we're living in and figuring out what, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it, like, all the way from, oh, whatever, to, what, you're doing this, you're doing, so we did implement a lot of things. We do allow people to come into the room by themselves. So you see these chairs here, we used to put 6 people pre-COVID in a room. That went down to 3 so we could space the chairs out between the clients. And then we do offer single session use now because some people are just not comfortable with being in a room with somebody else. And we understand that. So we're trying to do the best we can, being understanding as possible.
It has business impact though, right? So if you're taking a room that would hold 6 people at $45 a session, which is just our one-time price, or they could even rent the room for $120 if they wanted to rent the whole room for their party use. We've had some of that. And you go down to, now you can only use the room for $45 for one person sometimes, or maybe 3. But so that's a huge has impact.
Strictly, if you're strictly looking at quantity, it's like, oh wow, it's really cutting down our capacity. So I guess that gets the bigger question of like, how has COVID impacted your business throughout? How's it been? How's it been since March? Was there lulls? Are you back to normal? Have you been back to normal? What's your experience with COVID from a like business and finance perspective?
So our summertime is kind of always a natural lull. You think about it, people are outside more, probably at the beach more, not all doing a structured, kind of, I feel like everybody gets out of that structure in the summer. So summers are always a little slower for us, but what really hit us hard was that March and April would be big for us in allergies and things like that. So those would tend to be big months that would then, tide us over on the lighter months in the summer. And so that was a big hit, to basically be shut down. We were open by appointment only with pre-coordination, essentially, right? Because we were going through, running everybody through a question of symptoms and everything like
and
that.
No
exposures.
For a good month and a half,
nobody knew.
We were just letting because
existing
our
clients.
Members were like, you can't shut down. Like, we need you. We need to be here. This is the only thing that helps my allergies. This is the only thing that helps with any other chronic, respiratory issue they might have. And I was just like, okay, we can do this. But it definitely dropped. And then a lot of people, they are hearing all this stuff around them, and they froze, and they're like, I don't want to go anywhere with anybody right now. And so that was a huge dip too.
I would say it was a slower bounce back in the fall as well.
Right.
It didn't, we didn't come back up quite as quickly as we hoped. we didn't have our Christmas season was fine, but it wasn't probably what it's been in years past.
Right.
But we are seeing it start to pick up now.
Right.
So since Christmas, since actually a couple weeks before Christmas, it's really started. People are getting out. We've had people call like, when can I come? I had COVID, I tested positive.
Right.
When can I come?
Right.
You know, and so we're still following all of those guidelines, but we are starting to have people realize like this could really help them with those lingering effects that we're starting to hear a lot more about. And things like that.
Yeah. Right. You're not. Right. You know, you're in the safe zone now, but
you're not contagious, but you're still having all these lingering respiratory effects that this could help with. So.
So it helps. It reduces inflammation. It's a mucolytic, which means it thins out any type of congestion, mucus, and it's a natural antibacterial. So any type of mucus building up in the lungs, any inflammation that this virus definitely causes, it can help significantly. The salt that we push into the room, the particles are small enough that allows for good deposition in the lungs, which means that it's not just for upper respiratory, it's not just for your sinuses, but it can go deep down into the lungs to keep everything nice and open. That's why it helps improve oxygenation and everything in between. So it's great for people that have had COVID that are having those lingering effects. So we're just trying to figure out how to express that and get the word out, that it can help,
I understood most of that, so I think you can post that.
Yes, I know. Which I do most of the time, like, trying to break it down. I don't want to use too many medical terminology for people, so.
But I'm glad you just said that, because it's like, there's a lot of science behind this. I mean, obviously there's a lot of science behind this, but I mean, there's really a lot of evidence, proof, probably a lot of peer-reviewed studies. It's probably been published in a lot of places. I mean, this works.
European.
I was about to say, it's very
popular. In U.S., it has not been.
Gotcha.
And that's a big thing for a lot of doctors that hear about it. But most of the studies done, although there's a very large amount of studies that have been done in peer review and all of that, it's mostly European-based studies, because it's been a very big thing over there. It's only been here probably about 12 to 15 years, if that.
Oh, wow.
So it's just now in the last few years that it's become more that people know about it and are researching it and wanting to, see what it's all about. So
I saw y'all on the news. I don't know if it was recently, but I saw on your website that y'all on the news, and the guy is like, he sounded all like stopped up, and he's like, well, the first thing I noticed is my nose started running, and it's like, you're just in here and you just like, obviously your body's reacting in some way, it's so funny, and he's just like talking all congested. I'm like, that's probably the best feeling, knowing it's all just like coming out, it probably goes home and blows his nose or whatever.
Right.
And we keep all of the tissues and stuff around, because that is essentially what it does. It starts to pull all of that out while you're in here.
So quickly, too. I mean, he's just like, I've only been here for a few minutes. I was laughing at that. But, well, I loved hearing so much about the Salt Room, and now I kind of also want to hear about, as business owners, this being Lakeland business owners, like, what is your experience as a business owner from, well, lots of different questions on that specifically, but what would you say is the biggest benefit to owning your own business?
I'm going to go first. She looks at me.
Well, obviously, I have 4 kids, and so time is a big thing, and being able to not be in this, like, having to pay someone else to go pick up my kids or watch them after school or take them to their extracurricular activities and stuff like that, and being more involved, that's a big thing for me. And being a business owner has allowed me to do that, to kind of make my own schedule. Now, sometimes I don't get to do that, but I mean, that's just the name of the game. Especially with a small business and you only have a couple of employees that work. But for me, it actually really scares me a lot of the time to be a business owner, and I'm like, because right. It's like, man, I thought I was stressed out working at the hospital, running codes and doing all these things, but I'm like, this kind of scares me more, just a little bit. It's like, because you have, people's livelihood, like, the girls that work here, and they expect a paycheck, and I want us to always be doing well, but that's just not the name of the game, for a new business, a small business, and then you put COVID into play. So For me, I do love the flexibility of making my own schedule and being available for my family while still being able to run a business, but it's also been a little scary at times, if I'm being completely honest. But my husband's also a business owner. He owns his own practice. So it's been nice to have him as a sounding board to like cry to at night and say, he's like, it's going to be okay. He's been in, he's had his practice for almost 15 years. So he's he understands my pain and my worries. So, so that's been nice to have him there. And I'm sure, Cherie the same way with JJ, but. So that's, for me, that's a great, probably the main reason. There's a bunch of reasons, good and bad, of being a business owner. But yes, but that's one of my main reasons.
Awesome. The time. The potential. I mean, 'cause I know sometimes it's probably like you get all the time taken away and you have to focus on this all the time. But it's good to be able to, have that when you need it.
Right, right.
Most of the time we need it.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think is the best?
So for me, because I still work full time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mostly just work in the background here.
Behind the scenes.
And fill in on occasion when we're in a bind. But
Yes.
yeah, so I guess mostly for us it's more of a long-term plan.
Right.
Right. So just that idea that you don't always have to work for somebody else, and you kind of have some things going that are that long-term look at, just financially taking care of yourself and your family and all of that. So it was more of an investment for us, I think, than anything else.
Yeah. So you're working full time right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you're helping with some of the the administrative stuff, maybe not as much as the day-to-day, because y'all are open Monday through Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I'm the main person here, but she does all the, behind the scenes books and stuff like that. So.
Awesome. Again, this seems to be like the perfect partnership where it's like you have your strengths, where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then of course, I love hearing the pros, and I also love to hear, this is always a question that tends to have some interesting answers, is what would you say might be the worst part about being a business owner, or at least maybe the most challenging part?
Sometimes I think with the work I do, sometimes when you leave for the day, you leave for the day. And I think when you're a business owner, you never really leave for the day.
Yeah.
You're thinking about, when I'm running errands, I need to pick up this, or, there's always something you're thinking about. And so maybe you just kind of don't ever leave it.
Yeah. You can never really clock out.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's a good point.
Everything's
good.
Yeah, I know.
It's always perfect all the time.
I think because I am here, a lot of times when people do have negative things to say, I feel like I take it like it's directed directly towards me, because this is, a passion, and it's my passion, and I want to help people. And when you have that, whether it's a negative comment or someone just says it's, they don't really think this is something that people should be doing, and it's it's a waste of time or waste of money or whatever. That's really hard to swallow, because you're putting so much time and effort into it, and you want your business to succeed, but you also want people to feel better, and that's what we're here. We're not just here to make money. We're here to make, we want people to experience this because we want them to feel better ultimately. So I think that's,
and it's hard when a lot of that. I mean, we don't have a lot of negative feedback from our actual clients.
Right.
Most of it's from somebody who's never set foot in here, and never, or they went to another version of this somewhere else and then decided that it wasn't worthwhile.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That's that's
hard.
That's so unfortunate, and it's so true. Like we did a one with a rec room. One of the owners, they don't let him on social media because he gets pissed off. He's like, I can't even see this.
I know.
It's like, I get it, man. Like, you are putting your heart and soul into this thing, and someone just craps all over it because they got a social media account.
Right.
And the other irony about the whole thing, we talked about there's a broad spectrum of views on so many things, including COVID and all these other things, and it's like, you've got a master's degree, right, or a specific degree in this, in respiratory therapists. Like, you are extremely educated on this topic, and yet someone who may have seen a blog post and read the whole 500 words thinks they can have an opinion on this thing. And it's
Right.
like, it's always good to hear people's opinions and provide and get the feedback and say, hey, I think you're a little misguided, but people become experts so quickly from a
Right.
YouTube video or a blog or a post. It's very unfortunate.
Well, it's one thing to sit and have a conversation, but on social, it's like a fire, right?
Right.
It's just they go and drop
way,
something
it's
in one way, and
then keep
there's
going.
no
Yeah.
conversation or two-way, or it's great to be able to talk to people and educate and just, I don't understand, but yeah, when you just get these negative blasts, it's a lot harder to handle.
Yeah, conversation's great. People
Yeah.
always have different
Right.
views. Maybe someone really doesn't think this helps, and that's okay. Talk to us about it.
Right.
And y'all can respond to it and say, well, according to this,
Right.
and according to all the people that come in here all day and pay the money. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look at the reviews. That must be hard. That must be challenging. But like you said, it's probably not that much. But when you see
Right.
them, you're like, oh.
It just really
Yeah.
Yeah.
takes a dig at you. I'm like, oh man, I was having such a good day. I always text them. I'm like, okay, this is what I just got in my email. What do we do? And they're like, okay, let's take a deep breath.
Next time you should fly,
Yeah.
unsubscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
Or review them. Or one star to you as a human.
Right.
So we've definitely seen like a mixture of business owners that are from Lakeland, and then have also moved to Lakeland, both having successful businesses. So like in y'all's case, are you from Lakeland? Are you around Lakeland? And did you move here and build a business? What was the story?
So we moved here when we were opening Golf Etc.
Oh, okay. That's
So my
on the
husband
inside,
was
right?
from here,
Okay.
first graduating class of George Jenkins. Oh wait, I just told my
Yeah,
age,
exactly.
right?
Don't say that.
Very first.
Oh my God.
So
didn't know
he was
that.
from
It's been on my
here.
whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, right? Just aged myself. You're welcome. So we basically came back, and he went into business with his family. So that was how we got down here. But then we had been here over 10 years by the time we opened Salt Room. So
Gotcha.
yeah, since 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually.
I am not a Lakeland native. I'm from Orlando.
Oh, that's right.
Originally
You
born and raised,
mentioned-
yeah.
okay. Yeah, born and raised.
But my husband is, and so I came. He's in chiropractic. Before I went back to school, I was in chiropractic, and he was actually working at an office that I was at in Orlando. But I've been here 8 years now.
Okay, so you're native.
Yes, so I'm like,
adopted.
yeah, I'm one of the cool people now. So.
You have a swan tat yet?
No, I do have a shirt though, so then that counts. So, but I mean, I love Lakeland. I love raising my kids here. I mean, it's a big city, but it's also a homey city. I love downtown. I love the farmers market. I love the feel of all these new businesses coming up downtown and being able to walk different places. I mean, it's just and obviously it's a beautiful city. All the lakes. I love to run and being able to do that.
Perfect for
Yes,
that. Yeah.
absolutely.
And we were living outside of DC when we moved here, and so for us it was a lot about raising our kids somewhere like this.
Yeah.
So our kids were little, and now they're not.
Yeah.
You're aging yourself again.
I know. I have teenagers. It's okay. I think teenage moms of teenagers need to come in here. As
Yes.
moms
yes.
of toddlers.
That is exactly.
Moms in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Lindsay got furloughed. My wife got furloughed during her. She's a nurse practitioner. She got furloughed a little bit before, during early COVID, and she was a stay-at-home mom, and I was working full time, and I was like, gosh, I feel like being a stay-at-home mom would be awesome. And then I had to stay at home. I had to be a stay-at-home dad for a little bit, like a couple days.
Couple
Not a
days.
few months, couple days, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like praise be to my wife. Like I could never do it. So, anyways, moms are awesome.
They are.
They
Yes.
deserve this.
Yes,
They
absolutely.
deserve this.
I agree.
For sure.
That's great. And so, if I kind of want to go into like the process of the Salt Room. So, like someone who's just like Google searched you, or they see this video even, or whatever. What's the process of them like hooking up, getting in here? What are they going to experience the first time, etc.?
So when they come into the Salt Room, obviously we have everybody wash their hands. We usually tell people don't wear all black because you're going to get really salty, and if you have somewhere else to go. But we do have lockers that you can put your belongings in, so nothing gets too salty. But wear something comfortable. even if you're wearing what you're wearing, it's completely fine. A lot of people come on their lunch break, so we do provide blankets that they can cover up with. But they come in and they sit down like we're sitting in these chairs here. All of them do recline. I might hit the wall back here, but they recline back. So you can actually lay back.
Can you do the rest of the interview like that?
Yeah, there we go.
Zero gravity.
Yeah, go like
You
this.
can all lay
Zero
back.
gravity chairs. Yes, just like that. And I have them sit down. I explain to them. So all the walls and floors, if you can't tell,
You can lock it.
you can lock it there too. Yeah.
Okay, where do you lock it?
Right here,
under
these
the-
little,
Oh, okay, conveniently.
right there. Yep, you just lock it down. So then I go over, all the walls and floors. This is made out of a natural sea salt. Each room has a generator, which is the square box behind you.
Okay.
So once I close the door, the lights will go.
I'm totally distracted. I'm listening though, I promise.
The lights will go down, and then I'll turn that generator on.
Okay.
So a lot of people think you're just sitting in here, and you're like, la-di-da, what to do? And oh my goodness, there's other people. Are we staring at each other the whole time? What's going? It's going to be awkward. But the lights are down, so it's darker. And then the generator turns on, and that actually disperses and pulverizes pharmaceutical-grade salt. So your actual therapy is what we're pushing into the room, and what you're breathing in. So I always just instruct. Take some nice, slow, deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Take nice, deep ones every 5 to 10 minutes. Other than that, you can lay back, relax, and just breathe normal. A lot of people come in, they meditate. Some people read a book. Some people listen to their own music if they want to in their, their earphones or audiobooks or whatever. So different people do different things in here. But the point is just to take, deep breathing. And enjoy it. But a lot of times people that are reading books don't ever end, like when I open the door, they're like, because they get too relaxed to even keep concentrating to read. So, yeah.
Even if this didn't have all of the wonderful benefits that it does, it's still got to be just a relaxing thing to do.
It is.
Like, take away all the awesome, amazing things this does, like
Right.
just coming into a salt room, smelling that, getting your nose all runny.
Right.
Relaxing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a negative ion you're breathing in, so it does help, just like you would be really relaxed in front of a waterfall or at the beach. You get that because, you're breathing in that negative ion. And we're so surrounded by, electronics and computers and bright lights. Your body needs that disconnect to help balance it back out because you're surrounded by so many different things. So just for that, I have a lot of clients that come in just to disconnect, just to put their phone in the locker, come in here, and chill out for 45 minutes. A lot of people need that. So that's why it's really good for anybody that suffers with anxiety, depression, anything like that, because they are able to kind of just zone out and not have to worry about anything else and let their phone just buzz. But I'm like so surprised how busy people are, because sometimes they'll be in here and their phone's ringing the entire 45 minutes.
That's why
it's
they need
crazy.
this.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So other business owners, come and relax in the salt room.
Leave your phone in the locker.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like I mean that kind of is perfect, where it's like not even just all those benefits, but the relaxing benefit is for those people with anxiety, depression, or whatever, because it really just makes you,
Zen.
just chill. So here's a question: is this salt, since you're breathing in this, that's what provides that, a lot of the benefit. Is this for aesthetic purposes, since you're in a salt room?
Yes, it's to kind of
I love
create.
it.
Yes, it's to create and mimic a salt cave, basically, or where it originated from is salt caves in Poland. So this is kind of why we did that, create a microclimate for.
And what about that's such a nice extra effort, and it's like you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yes.
It's not going to be as cool if I'm not walking into a room with salt on the walls.
Right.
Well, and the kids love to dig in it
Yes.
and,
Oh, true.
just play in the salt on the floor. There's about 3 or 4 inches of salt there on the floor. So they can really kind of get down in there and play and enjoy it.
Make
So
their
it does.
Florida snow angels in the salt. I got a lot of kids doing that.
They're like big chunks. I'm just tempted to like pop one.
It'll be salty, extra salty for sure. And then once you're done, you will be dusted with salt, so you'll have to kind of dust yourself off. You can taste it probably 10 minutes into the session. If you lick your lips, you'll be able to taste the salt for sure.
It is in the
Right.
air and, okay.
Yeah, so so people are like, oh man, I didn't really, they were feeling the effects, but they didn't really see the salt like just floating until I opened the door and let the light come through. They're like, oh my goodness, I'm sitting in a cloud of salt. So it's pretty cool. I think I did post a video one time of where you could actually see the salt particles coming out of the generator. So you're inhaling quite a bit of bit of salt, and that's really going to help clear anything up.
And then anybody that's coming for skin, you know, we just tell them shorts, tank top,
Right.
that kind of thing, so that they're getting maximum exposure and able to, because again, if the salt's landing on your clothes, landing on your skin, it's going to neutralize anything that's going on there. Acne,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
eczema, all of that, very, very good for anything that causes inflammation on the skin.
Right.
That's and those are the types of things like you can't really communicate on a website. Right?
Right.
So I like looked through all your website and I was like, so what do they do?
Yes, yes,
Like,
and that,
hearing this
yes.
conversation, like, okay, it's making sense. And then like
Yeah.
someone who has those afflictions and they come in, they feel it
Right.
makes sense to them.
Right.
Wow.
That's why, you know, when our clients, you know, I always encourage our clients to post about it. They want to take pictures, I'll take 100 pictures for you. As long as you're posting about it, you know, and you're sharing the word and getting the word out, I think that's been a huge thing for us. Because people don't really know what you do inside of a salt room. So when people want to take their phone out, take pictures or whatever, it just connects, you know, us to the outside audience even more for them to actually be more intrigued to want to come in and try out the therapy. So
if they see a post with a child, then they're like,
Right.
oh, that's safe. Well,
Right.
yeah, it's safe all the way down to 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
You know, so
Yes.
it's an option when maybe you don't have a lot of options.
Right.
Okay.
And when you're pregnant, it's completely safe. And this therapy, it doesn't have any side effects. There's no side effects, no counter interactions with any type of medication. We do have a disclosure, but that's just a general disclosure. But, you know, and I always tell people, you know, run down the list of things, but there's no side effects and no counter interactions with any medication, whether it's prescribed or over the counter. So it's, you got nothing to lose to try it out.
That's like nowadays, like anything you put in your body is gonna have the side effect. So it's like, well, try this one
Right.
first. It's got the side effects, and then
Yeah.
Right.
then go
See if
to
you
the
can
over-the-counter
stand the side
medication.
effects and then go to the next.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good thing because babies can go in there. I mean, a lot of issues with little ones is that they can't blow their own nose. They can't, you know, we have those sucker things,
Oh,
but
yeah,
those don't,
really.
you know, that's even sometimes hard to get them to hold their head, and you're like, it sounds like you're killing them because you're trying to suction out their nose. But
eat your boogers.
exactly, especially with that, exactly. So this has been so great, and really it's kind of what keeps you motivated is when you have a mom that can't nurse because her baby's so congested, and she goes in there, and within 15-20 minutes the baby starts draining, everything starts coming out, they bring their little suction thing, and then they start nursing right away.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes. So I mean, it's great, and there's no side effects. You don't have to worry, oh my goodness, you know, did I give too much, did I put the right amount, you know, what can I give, because there's really not a whole lot of things for babies as far as congestion goes, you know. So it's just been great to see the moms with such relief bringing their kids and having that relief for them.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
I can't wait to do this.
you should. Yes.
I don't want to ruin the camera. So one thing, you know, this is like we've been talking about, such a unique business. You both already have some experience in, you know, with your husbands owning a business. You already kind of knew about the business world going into this. But for some of those business owners that may not have any experience in the business world and they're looking to start a new business, let's say, or even maybe they have a small business and they're just, you know, they need to stay motivated. So that's one. And then two, that person who's just now trying to start a business. They have no business experience whatsoever. They're trying to get going. What are you going to tell that person from starting a business? It's a really long question, sorry. I guess, what would you tell a person starting a business? There you go.
Probably
problem.
probably have a good support system would be a big thing, because that's kind of what's gotten me through. If you do have a business partner, make sure that you're on the same page from the get-go. Don't just assume anything, you know, talk to each other. But definitely a good support system, because it is such a difficult thing to do. It is. It's a lot of work, and I'm pretty sure my kids never want to own a business because they're like, ugh. I'm like, the reward will be good, okay? We just got to get there, you know? But it is, people think, oh, well, it's going to be this glamorous thing, and it's so great. And it's nice, it feels good, but you also have to work really, really hard, and sometimes it doesn't feel great, you know? And you're wondering, well, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? So when you have a support system around you and a good one, they can be there to remind you, you know, this is what you should be doing. You know, this is your passion, and remind you why you started in the first place. So I think that's a big thing for them to need.
Yeah.
Because just like there's going to be so much adversity trying to like keep you from getting to that.
Right. Well, and especially we offer something so unique.
Right.
So maybe we're a little bit different than someone that opens up like a really cool donut place. You know, because everybody loves donuts, and it doesn't mean they don't.
And you know what a donut is.
Right, exactly.
You don't know what
Right.
a salt room is
Right.
necessarily.
Yeah, so maybe that's why I feel that way, is because it's been such a specific thing that people really don't know.
That is why you feel that way. Yeah. Huh. I mean, everyone's going to face adversity, and everyone needs a support
Right.
system, but this is particularly like, people are like, are you sure you should? Donut shops, like, just change the ingredients.
Yeah.
Whatever. But like this, it's like, you sure that's...
We'll put cool
what you-
toppings on.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it was important, I think, for us to have a location that was
Yes.
with some other wellness types of offerings. So not, you know, if you're in a strip mall somewhere, you know, maybe if we're right next to Yoga Point, it works out, right? But
Right.
otherwise, you know, having a location where you had some professionals that were willing to refer people in, you know, was one thing. Or even just people walking through the building and saying, well, what's this? What does
Right.
this do? Walking up to the front desk and asking questions. So I think the location was important.
Yes.
Planning that out, setting expectations in the beginning for, you know, it's not going to be
Right.
overnight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's gonna, you got to have a 3 to 5 year plan in place and not just expect that immediate return.
That's huge, because you got the everyone. If someone considers target demographic when they're going into business, that's awesome. Like, if you know who you're trying to sell to, that's fantastic. But very few people are like, well, where am I going to actually put the business if they have a physical location? That's
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a big piece of it. Really good.
And that was a really important thing for us, because my husband was not in the best location his first job, and he's like, location is everything. You know, you want people to be able to see your sign from driving by. You want people to be able to find you easily. You don't want them to be like, you know, calling. So thankfully, we kind of had that in the back of our heads, like, oh, so, and not everybody thinks about that when starting a business. Like, oh, this is cute, but it's behind something that's not very visible to people in the street. And, you know, because you want to be able to market to everybody.
Yep.
You want everybody to see who you are, what you're doing. So yeah, location is
and that was
a
actually
huge
one
thing.
of the biggest considerations with the golf store too for
Right.
us. Was getting into the town center when it was brand new, basically, when it was just starting off. And because needing that foot traffic and, you know, like you said, needing people to see your sign and know you're there was huge. And so there's trade-offs sometimes, and you pay a little bit more for those locations that bring you maximum benefit. And so you kind of have to look at that and say, it might be nice to be in this cheaper place, but does it really have the value for me that, you know, paying a little more gives me?
That's
Yeah,
a great
for sure.
point. It's like the higher risk, higher return type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great point, the physical location. And then I know in Lakeland, I mean, we talk about Lakeland coming on the map. We've got this catapult facility now where it's all these tiny businesses or one-man shows
Yeah,
that they
so
can come
cool.
together. It's like, talk about the best location ever. Like,
Yes.
you're surrounded
Absolutely.
by a support system and
Right.
surrounded by, I've seen so many little businesses that were just one-man show that have grown into these, you know, great businesses because of their location, exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Y'all's story is so cool and so unique, and this is so cool and so unique, and it's one of these stories that really make me proud to be a Lakelander. You know, I need to get
Yes,
my
yeah.
shirt. But, well, I really, really appreciate both of your time today. What fantastic answers you provided. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this, even though I was a part of it, just so I can, you know, write some of this stuff down. And just, of course, learning more about your business. So
Thanks
We
for having
appreciate
us.
it,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.